Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 6 of Jack's Junkyard. I'm your host, Jack Kiesling. With me tonight is the famous Peanut Number 1, also known as Shums. What up, Shums? We've got a great episode lined up for you tonight. We've got a ton of fun stuff to do. We've got an interview with Thomas from Glass Helix. We've got a talent performance by Becker and the Becker Band. We've got some awesome news stories and a ton of stuff to talk about. You're not going to want to miss a minute of this episode. Don't go away. To lead us off tonight, let's get started with another edition of Junkyard Interviews. All right, welcome to another episode of Junkyard Interviews. I am your host, Jack Kiesling, and with me tonight is Thomas. Thomas is the frontman of the up-and-coming metal act, Glass Helix. Thomas, why don't you tell us about yourself?
As you know, my name's Thomas. I'm with the band Glass Helix. I write the lyrics and I sing for them. We've been together for about a little over a year. We've been pretty busy so far. I'm originally from Germany. I'm about 40 years old now, so I'm not getting any younger. So getting into a band was definitely one of my things to do now. You know, to kind of get the ball going on my life.
That's interesting. Okay, so wait, hold on. So you're almost 40, you're from Germany, and a year ago, you're just like, you know what? I've always wanted to be in a band. So what, you just grab random people from the street? Like, how did Glass Helix come to be?
Well, yeah, actually, the band started early 2019. That's when I met Matthew King. He's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's interesting looking at your band's lineup. You have 2 Toms and 2 Matts.
Correct. Yeah, there's 2 Toms and 2 Matts. The other Tom's the bass player and the other Matt's the drummer. So it's kind of funny.
How did you meet all of these guys? How did you bring the band together?
Mostly ads, really. I found Matthew King originally back into 2019 through Craigslist, and he had an ad out. He had linked some of his music that didn't have any lyrics or any kind of singing to it, and that's how I got to meet him. I ended up sending him a video of me kind of doing a cover song, and he was into it, and he had me write some lyrics to those songs that he had posted. And funny thing is I was trying to meet the guy forever, but he keeps blowing me off. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he decides, just come over to my house and we'll record this song. I was like, I never met you ever, and you were just going to have like this recording session. But we did it, and we ended up really liking what we were doing. So we thought of the name Glass Helix, looked for other people, and kind of did the same thing. We put a Craigslist ad out, and we found Matthew Olson, who's an amazing drummer, by the way. And later on, we found Tom Davis, our current bassist. He's also an awesome guy, and he's been in the local rock and metal scene for quite some time. So he's got some connections for us and things like that.
Absolutely. Man, that's cool, man. I never would have thought, like, obviously I've never tried to put a band together, but I never would have thought like Craigslist ads. Like, that's
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Not what you would expect, right? You expect some, oh yeah, I met him here at this concert and we really hit it off, and then decided to talk about maybe starting a band or something. But no, it's just really us, taking a step outside our boxes and reaching out to other people. Kind of randomly,
I think a lot of times people think about creating art and it seems so unattainable just because you need all of those other pieces. But man, you found your pieces on Craigslist. Like, that's awesome.
Right. And I mean, theoretically speaking, you don't even need other people too. I mean, there's great people like Trent Reznor. Like, that guy pretty much writes all his own material and just hires other musicians to play his stuff, Yeah. But the point is, anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Where your mind goes, your body will follow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Awesome. Okay, so this is wacky. So a little over a year that Glass Helix has existed, you've already put out a really solid album, and then you just dropped a single. You dropped Control this week, right? And then that was right after dropping Explode. So. Correct. Man, that's a lot, a full album, and you're already dropping new singles. You've got music videos for some of your tracks. like that's a lot of stuff to produce in a year, especially for a new band. So walk us through what that process looks like on a daily. Like how much time do you guys spend together, and how did you generate that much art that fast?
Well, it's we work remotely, and we work really well remotely. We send each other tracks, and then I get time to sit down with it and kind of write lyrics. And same with all the other guys. You know, they get the track for a couple of days, get to think about what they want to add to it. So we kind of figure it out amongst ourselves by sending tracks back and forth. It's a lot faster, and I think that's what's kind of given us the edge in that department. We've been releasing just about a song every month. We have 2 EPs of 6 songs, so altogether about 16 songs now. So, and we have only been a band for a little over a year.
And one of your music videos for Fragile Existence has over 12,000 plays on YouTube, which, you know, for a brand new act is incredible. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how does that feel to see those numbers, and the comments on it are amazing too?
It's a great feeling, man. You know, it kind of makes you feel like people are really behind your music and behind your art, behind what you have to say, and kind of gives you purpose in life. You know, other than just, you know, you work in a job and you have your family and stuff. You know, but aside that, it's a really great honoring thing to have people behind you like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now you are a family man. You've got kids and you've got a day job. How does that fit in with the rock star lifestyle?
I don't have a rock star lifestyle. No, I'm a dad, you know, and I have a day job still. I hope maybe one day I can get to break away from that and kind of make music my career. I mean, that's essentially the goal here. I'm not much for attention and nothing, but I want to be successful in what I do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So okay, so what do your kids think of, you know, seeing dad on music videos and on stage, you know, wailing metal tracks?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy experience, really. At first, they were pretty confused, you know, and I had to explain to them, yeah, that's me doing my thing, my music thing, you know. So, but they gotten pretty used to it, and my 4-year-old now, when he hears my songs, he goes, that's daddy, you know. So, so that's a real heartwarming thing, you
Oh
know.
yeah, that's got to be killer. And you
Yeah,
know, so in addition to the music videos, you've got some success rolling as well. Explode, which is the track you released just a couple of weeks back, right?
yeah,
Already has over 4,500 plays on Spotify, so it's cruising. And I mean, again, Spotify's a tough platform to get exposure on, but
yeah.
so
It's
walk us through that. How does the Spotify success start working to your advantage?
it's just, you know, promotion. Try to get the word out there and try to get people to see, you know, what's this about.
Yeah, and you collaborated with another band on Explode, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was Fall from Silence, another great, awesome local band out of Colorado Springs. We actually played a show with them. So I got to know Sean. He's really awesome. He got to liking our music, so we got to talking and decided, you know, like, yeah, let's try this out, you know. So Matt gave me a track that he worked on, and I thought, hey, you know, this might be the perfect opportunity to get Sean in on this track, you know. So I ended up writing some lyrics and sent it over to Sean, and he was on board. You know, he really liked what I was doing, and then we just had him come in and re-record some of the things that I had recorded, but in his way.
How does COVID and everything else that's going on in the world right now affect your writing process for your next songs?
It's it's basically choosing my topic for me. You know, I mean, we're going through COVID, we're going through, you know, political stuff right now, which Control is very much about that. It's about media and politics and how it's affecting us psychologically, and how it kind of feels at times like they're just trying to control us. The whole COVID thing too, like Waiting to Die, that song is about what we're going through as a band. You know, we're not really doing much. We lost our ability to take the stage, which is a big thing for us. So it kind of just feels like we're waiting to die, um, and we haven't even started, basically. You know.
Right. The name Glass Helix, right? So you came up with that when you sat down to record the first track. Where did that name come from? I love the meaning behind it. How did you come up with that?
Glass is fragile, and then the helix is a representation of life. So
Right.
put those two together, and you have our song "Fragile Existence." Basically,
Yeah.
that all ties into that general theme of realize that you don't have forever. So get off your ass and do it.
Ah, ah, you're an inspiring guy, man. This is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, so anything else you want to throw out there for the viewers? Anything you wanted to know?
Absolutely, man. Glass Helix is out there. I invite you all to come check us out. We have music on Spotify, all kinds of streaming services. You can buy our music on iTunes. I also invite you to come check out our YouTube channel. We have 8 videos so far, and we're actually working on releasing a new one. Make sure you like us, subscribe. Also find us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on there. Stay up with all the latest news. Who knows what's going to happen. You never know. There might be a new song next week, or maybe another video, or some random news about me eating some hot chip.
That's awesome. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for sitting down on Junkyard Interviews, and we will see you back in 2 weeks with the whole band.
Yes, let's set it up. I'll get the guys on board. We'll set up a day, and we'll get it going.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Man, what a cool guy to sit down and talk with. Thomas, super inspiring individual. He's got a lot of great things to say about chasing your dreams and not letting excuses get in the way of doing the things that you want to do in your life. Not to mention his band, Glass Helix, puts out some amazing music. There's a lot of his lyrics that are directly applicable to situations that we're facing in the world today, whether we're talking about, COVID or, media infiltration of our lives, and just so much stuff that really impacts when you sit back and listen to the lyrics. Now, some of you out there are saying, well, I don't really like metal and people screaming and all that stuff. First of all, you're wrong. Second, Glass Helix is one of those metal bands that is perfect for somebody who's new to the metal genre. A very good friend of mine has been predominantly listening to pop for the majority of his life, but he recently ran across Glass Helix, and what he told me is that they were the first metal band he ever heard that he felt like he could relate to what they were doing, the energy that they were putting out, and all of those things. Now, many of you know that I'm a huge metalhead, and there's a ton of metal bands that I like out there, but so maybe Glass Helix was not my introduction to metal, but when that particular friend messaged me and he's like, dude, you got to check this band out, I listened to some of their tracks and I was like, wow, like these guys are awesome. They definitely deserve some attention. So get on their social media pages, whatever system you use, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, follow them. Go over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. These guys definitely need some more support. So, Thomas, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It was really fun, and I'm very much looking forward to part 2 of the Glass Helix series, which will be 2 weeks from today when I sit down with the whole band. If you or someone you know should be featured on Junkyard Interviews, you can email me at jackkieslingBooks@gmail.com or contact me through any of my social media pages. Bear in mind, I interview artists, nonprofit owners, creators, and business owners, but they have to have a social point to what they're doing. I'm not just going to prop up your cousin's burgeoning rap career. All right? Has to have a social point to it. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for Junkyard Interviews today. Deanna Hawkins is a retired U.S. Army soldier and Medal of Honor recipient enjoying the quiet life of an artist in Portland, Oregon. Without her knowledge, documents proving diabolical manipulation of the American people, perpetrated by the government, fall into her lap. Forced to run for her life, Deanna must work with unlikely companions to deliver the files to the people. Sinister forces strive to stop her, while an unknown guardian angles for her success. This success could result in the Second American Civil War, while failure could cement the power of tyrants for generations to come. Under the weight of that knowledge, Deanna Hawkins will discover what it means to walk the thin red line between duty and death. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The News. Welcome to another edition of Junk in the News. I am once again your host, Jack Kiesling. That is Peanut. Number 1, Shums. Tonight in the news, some really exciting stuff. Our first story of the evening. A group of football players from Roosevelt High School, known as the Rough Riders, went to aid someone after a storm ripped apart their yard. So the man in question has been paralyzed since 1989. On Monday, a massive storm ripped through Des Moines, Iowa, and knocked down trees, limbs all over the place, and tore his fence apart. It's a mess. Well, he's paralyzed. There's not really a lot he can do about it. Okay? So his caretakers, who also happen to be his sisters, reached out to a friend of theirs and like, hey, can we borrow a chainsaw? And he's like, you're going to need more than a chainsaw, but I got something for you. So he called a contact he had at the Roosevelt High School football team, the Rough Riders, and said, we're going to need some able-bodied boys to come over and help clean this up. 30 of the football players came over to this man's yard and in about 3 hours' time, got rid of all the down trees and limbs, all the debris, everything, fixed the fence, the whole deal, cleaned it up for him, no problem. What I think is very interesting about this story, and you can see in the image on your screen, is that right now, the majority of the media is telling us that our country is divided. We see and we feel the effects of that all around us. But when you do some looking at things like this that are going on, you will see that these young men that went over to help this man, clean up his yard, were of all different backgrounds and skin colors and racial identities, in it together to help another human being. When asked about why they were doing what they were doing, the football players said, that's just what people do for each other. And I think that is so critical. None of them said anything about race or religion or orientation or anything about that. They just said, that's what people do for each other. Now, for a long time on this show, I've been advocating being kind to one another, treating each other fairly, being nice, as a way of life. Well, these young men are living that example, and I'm very proud of them. So hats off to you, my new friends at Roosevelt High School football team. On to the next. What I'm about to show you is very exciting. A woman who goes by the name KD French was trapped in her home during quarantine. She was faced with the temptation of the refrigerator on a daily basis. This is a temptation I am all too familiar with. You can't see it because I'm on camera and I angled the camera in a specific way, but I am getting fatter by the day. The refrigerator is very tempting for me. Now, KD French decided to do something positive with her time, and she recorded the quarantine snack anthem, and I'm very proud to present it to you.
Really?
You ain't even hungry.
Somebody stop me.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm at the fridge again.
She's at the fridge
Keep
again.
calling my name.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm at the fridge again.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm gonna need a little help from you.
Please come get
I think
her.
I'm doing a little too much.
She doing too
I'm at
much.
the fridge again.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm at the fridge again.
She's at the fridge
Tell
again.
them again, y'all. Fridge.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm at the fridge again.
She's at the fridge
I think it's
again.
time for my snack,
She's at the
y'all.
fridge
But it's only been
again.
2 minutes since the last visit.
She's at the fridge again.
I'm gonna need your help.
Please come get
I
her.
need you right now.
She needs your
at the
help.
fridge again.
She's at the fridge
Lord,
again.
have mercy, the fridge again.
She's at the fridge
Wait a
again.
minute. What about the chicken?
Sit down.
Mashed potatoes.
Sit down.
Them collard greens.
Sit down.
How about them
Oh,
eggs?
go sit down.
Oh, some fruit.
Sit down.
Watermelon.
Sit down.
Ice cream.
Sit down.
Oh,
Oh, go
what?
sit down.
How about a pickle?
Sit down.
Popsicle.
Sit down.
Or a slice of cheese.
Sit down.
Oh,
Oh, go
please.
sit down.
I need some juice.
Sit down.
Kool-Aid.
Sit down.
Minute Maid.
Sit down.
Gatorade.
Oh, go sit down.
I want to eat.
You don't need it.
I need to eat.
You don't need
I
it.
want to eat.
You don't need it.
Right now.
You don't need
Give
it.
me food.
You don't need it.
Give me snacks.
You don't need
I
it.
won't take it back.
You don't need it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need it.
With my
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Please come get
Come on
her.
and see about me.
She doing too
At the
much.
fridge again.
She's at the fridge again.
Oh, at the fridge again.
She's at the fridge again.
Oh, Lord.
Bruh,
Come
sit
on,
down.
Lord.
Sorry about the delay there, folks. I broke it. So Katie French created this amazingly enjoyable song, the snack anthem. And when asked about it, she said, and I quote, "At least making this song kept me from the fridge for about an hour." I sympathize with that feeling. But let me tell you what, this video is really funny. It's really good. The lyrics, everything, all the pieces fitting together, and all the voices she put into it to make the full gospel experience out of the song. Clearly, Miss Katie French, very talented, and we need to see more of her creative talents in the future. This gentleman that you see on your screen was faced with a problem. The problem was he loved robotics, but he didn't know how to do anything with it, so he turned to YouTube. Over the course of several years and many YouTube videos, he taught himself the art of robotics and all of the science that goes with it. He learned so much and developed so many cool inventions that he was even honored at the White House Science Fair under former President Obama. While in his science fair touring days, he met a young girl with a prosthetic limb who told him that it cost $80,000. He himself described the limb as looking somewhat archaic, and he was blown away that this woman had to pay so much for a piece of technology that was just not up to the requirements. So, using his newfound knowledge of robotics, he set out to do something to solve that problem. During his research, he discovered that currently there are 40 million amputees in the world. 40 million. And approximately only 5% of those 40 million amputees have access to affordable prosthetic devices. That is not good. Not at all. All right? So, this gentleman, whose name is Easton LaChapelle, decided to fix that problem. He founded his own company, which is called Unlimited Tomorrow, where he uses 3D printers and other technology to make custom-fit prosthetics that are affordable for the everyday person. These
limited, like limb.
Oh my lord. I'm certain that is not what he intended when he named his business.
Well, then he's a fool.
So these prosthetics are really cool. They're customized to match your skin tone. They're customized to match the size requirements so that it looks like it is part of your body. It's not too big, not too small. The correct shape and all of the functionality pieces involved. Really, really cool stuff. Hopefully, as his company progresses and continues to grow, we can ratchet that 5% access to prosthetics up to 100% in the long term. So because of the way he builds them and the technology involved, he can make them completely customized to the individual, but costing significantly less than traditional accessible prosthetics. What that means for the everyday amputee is a better product for less money. So, Easton, thank you for the efforts that you are putting in to solve a very serious problem in our world. And it's also really cool he gets to use his passion for robotics to do that. It's really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Junk in the News. The Fists of Arkan is the debut novel by author Jack Kiesling. Action, adventure, and personal challenges are the focal point of this immersive book set against a backdrop of war. Deep character development and wide perspectives explore social issues relevant to the real world. Dive in and discover the answer to the age-old question faced by leaders many. What kind of royal will you be? This is a paid advertisement for Jack Kiesling Books and the Fist of Arkan. All right. What's up in Arkan? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the part of the show where I get to talk about my stuff. So many of you have noticed that in the last week, I had to change my pricing on Amazon for my book. Previously, my novels were available in hard copy format on Amazon for $12. I've had to change that. Let me tell you why. I've gotten some hate mail on it, man. I've gotten some hate mail on it. I got a message from somebody the other day who was like, I was just about to buy your book and I see you raise the prices. You're getting awful greedy. Oh, really? I'm getting greedy. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Greed Accuser. I have not made a single dollar in profit off of my writing. Not a one. Yep. My shows are not monetized. I don't get money from YouTube or Facebook or, ad companies or anything like that. None of the promotions that I do in my show are paid. Everything I do in the show when I bring other artists and stuff on the show is to allow more people to see their stuff. So I don't get paid for that. And I certainly will not ask for money to do that. And as far as my books go, I don't know how to tell you this, but it costs a lot of money to self-publish novels. It really does. There are a lot of things that you have to pay for to make something like this happen. So I'm glad that you felt free to voice your opinion, to tell me that I'm greedy for raising my prices. But folks, I still haven't paid off the last round of books that I ordered to be able to sell to you autographed. Yeah. I've told you the whole time that my margins are razor thin selling on Amazon, and they are. Amazon takes a big cut, as they should, because they're doing a lot of services for me that I would have to pay an astronomical amount of money to anyone else to do. So I've always kept my prices as low as possible, but at the end of the day, I have to make something. There's only so many times I can go to my wife and be like, Shams, I need to spend money on this thing for the books. And she'll be like, okay, that's cool. When are we going to see a return on that investment? And I'm like, when my life insurance policy cashes in? Right? So yeah, I get it. The price went up. $3. That sucks. Some people out there want to read my stuff and they couldn't afford it at $12. I feel it. I really do. And I've always said that I want the art to be as accessible as possible and keep the prices as low as possible. But guys, I've never made $1 in profit off this thing. I'm still over $130 in debt to my family, right? To us, right? The business is still in debt. And at a certain point, I have to be realistic with myself and say I'm not charging enough to be sustainable in this business. So there it is. If you don't like that, then I'm more than interested in your opinion. You can feel free to private message me on any of my social media pages or email me at jackkieslingbooks@gmail.com. I'm totally cool with that.
The digital copy price didn't get...
Correct. Yeah, the digital ebook download price did not change. It did not change. Okay. And so I feel like if you're one of those people out there who wants to read it, can't access it for, the price for the hard copy edition, the ebook edition is still $3. I have no plans to change that anytime soon. And you can download the Kindle app on any smartphone for free. So you don't need to spend any more than $3 for it. Shums beat me to it. Yeah, thanks, Tiffers. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I get it. It's a tough world and money coming slow, right? But money coming slow over here too, right? So, it is what it is. There are a lot of people out there that are charging a lot more than $15 for their novels, so I don't feel too bad about it. Okay? And these are not short little novellas either. I had somebody tell me the other day, they're like, oh, well, this person sells their stuff for like $7. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see. So I went and looked at it, and it was like a 110-page novella, and I'm like, yeah, we're not talking about the same thing here, friend. We're not comparing apples to apples, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. I got to make something, Maybe someday when, I get movie deals and TV show deals and money be pouring out of the sky, then I'll lower the prices down to the bare minimum Amazon will let me charge. But until that day, I got to make something. Mama needs new pairs of shoes. See that little smirk back there? Yeah, she knows. She wants shoes.
Jellies.
Yeah, and jellies. You guys remember jellies, right? There's really popular shoes in the 90s. They're like made out of this clear plastic that looks kind of like it's made out of gel. This one is restarting the jelly craze.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah, so, that is what it is, right? I have to buy her jellies, so I need you to buy my book, and I have to charge a little bit more for it. Jellies! Anyway, what else is going on? Okay, so we got through the craziness of the summer and travels and all that stuff, and I have officially started working on the second edition of the Fists of Arkan, so rehashing that. It's been a lot of fun diving back into that material and getting that thought process back in my mind. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Yeah, I need to make something. Like, it's not a charity, believe it or not. Not used to seeing you in a button-down shirt. You look professional. Thank you. This is one of my favorite shirts, by the way. I love this shirt. I know the color's a little off on the camera, but it's pink, and I love it. They don't make a ton of men's shirts in pink, and that really bothers me. It's my favorite color. Anyway, so, you know, it is what it is. Pink shirts, professional me. Maybe we're flipping over a new leaf. I doubt it, right? Yeah, but so I've started working on that second edition. It's been super fun to get back into those characters and back into that voice, and it's a completely different voice than a Thin Red Line. And so it's really fun to dive back into that universe. As promised, nothing is changing in terms of character development, context of the book, anything like that. So if you've already purchased The Fists of Arkan in the first edition, you don't need to purchase it in a second edition. Obviously, I want your money. So if you want to purchase it in a second edition, that's fantastic. Realistically, it should take me about a month to do this, and then I'll get fired up on writing The Tears of Arkan, which will be the second. I switched some stuff up in the plot outline for that. I've been thinking about it nonstop for like the last 3 weeks, and so I kind of moved some things around in the plot outline for it that I think will change up the flow a little bit. And then I moved a character. So it's going to sound a little strange, right? But so when I did my plot outline, I had a specific, many of you remember from The Fists of Arkan, the character Thyso, right? Who is dark of skin. He's gay. He was handmaid to Princess Leandria. If they haven't read it by now, it's been out for like almost a year. Wait, yeah, in 2 days it'll be its anniversary. Anyway, but yeah, spoilers. You're right. But anyway, so I had originally intended for him to go to one place and be a part of this particular storyline that's happening in the novel, and then I realized there was an opportunity to show off his character traits a little bit more and his development a little bit more by moving him somewhere else. So made that change to the plot outline. We don't need to, but we will. TFOA 2.0 is all sorts of awesomeness. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. Ryan says, Shums, kick Jack's chair. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Matthew says, my price is still very fair. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Anyway, so I'm really excited to bring The Tears of Arkan to you. Realistically, I want to say 6 months because that's what my heart wants to say. But realistically, just based off the time it took me to push out a Thin Red Line, I think realistically about 8 months will be the time from start to finish on the process for Tears of Arkan. So look for that coming soon. Jeebus says, I see the Bat Cat. Oh, man. Jesus. Jeebus, we miss you, dude. For sure. Thyso is your favorite. I know. Wait, I thought you told me Oslin was your favorite. See, now we're getting some contradictory statements here. Anyway, yeah, Thyso is one of my favorite characters. Obviously, I love all the characters I create for the most part. There are a few that I don't like, and I made them intentionally because I didn't like them. But, you know, it is what it is. On to the next part of the journey. So, guess who won the writing contest for this week? No one! Because none of you participated! So, last week's writing contest, the title was A Romantic Scene in an Unromantic Place. No one submitted.
And that's the second week, too, remember?
Well, yeah, but I forgot to post it the first week, so that doesn't count.
It was in people's heads.
It was in people's heads. For 2 weeks, yeah. We can change favorites. You're right, Ryan. But anyway, so nobody submitted to the writing contest this week. That's totally fine. Not all titles are, conjure inspiration. It's totally cool. It's a free world. So that being said, we're doing it again. Okay, we're going to keep going with the writing contest. This week's short story title, The Last Moment of Childhood. If you've never seen the show before or you've never participated, after the show today on my page, Jack Kiesling Books on Facebook, I will put up a post with the rules and everything. Short story contest, okay? So what you do is you craft a short story between 500 and 1,000 words-ish, right? Ish. I'm not too crazy. I don't actually count your words or anything like that. Based off the title, The Last Moment of Childhood. Drop that in the comments on the post. At the time of next week's show, the short story submission with the most reactions, likes, hearts, angry face, whatever, will be read out loud on the show and featured on my website, jackkiesling.com, for a week. Pretty fun stuff. We've had a number of winners so far this season. Let's see. Ryan Desmond had a win. Pam Desmond had a couple of wins. Chris Gullick had a win. Jen McMullen had a win. Yeah, I know, right? Pamela Desmond is slacking. Thaiso comes in second to Oslin. Aha. See, I have a better memory than people give me credit for. Pam said, sorry, she was busy with kids' school, and it's your fault. I mean, I get blamed for a lot of stuff, so it's fine. Anyway, so yeah, craft short story, title, Last Moment of Childhood. Drop it in the comments on the post. At the end of the week, most reacts, read out loud on the show, featured on the website. Super, super cool stuff. Awesome. Yeah, fun stuff. On to the next. All right. Welcome to the next edition of the Junkyard's Got Talent. I'm super excited because our next contestant on the Junkyard's Got Talent is a personal friend of mine, a man by the name of Lo Becker, very talented musician, and he has a fun talent for us today.
Hey, Junkyard's Got Talent. This is Lo Becker, and this is the Becker Band. Thank 'em for their service, for battles survived, the freedoms fought for in a country with pride. We fight for the freedom, the red, white, and blue, the future of a country. We hold what is true. Thank 'em for the service, families left behind, leaving out a country. Uncle Sam says it's time. We raised our hands, protect and defend. We may not come back, but we'll fight till the end. We fight for the freedom, the red, white, and blue, the future of a country. We hold what is true. We fly Old Glory in the yard, day or night. Thank 'em for the service. Remember why we fight. Oh, why we fight. Thank 'em for the service, coming back from war. You may not understand what we fight for. We fight our feelings, 'cause we hurt inside. 20 too many times I hear a soldier just died. Yeah, we fight for the freedom, the red, white, and blue, future of a country. We hold what is true. So fly, oh glory, in the yard, day or night. Thank 'em for the service. Remember why we fight. Oh, why we fight. Oh, why we So when you see servicemen and women dressed in uniform, or that vet wearing that hat or vest from the time they had served, remember these simple words. Thank you for your service. Thank 'em. Yeah, thank 'em.
All right. So, what do we think, judges? What do we think? Simon, what do you think? You go first.
Well, I think the Becker Band's a very talented band, great musicians, and my accent is super messed up today. I don't sound like Simon Cowell at all, didgeridoo, ho ho ho.
What? Simon, I think you've been hitting Paula Abdul's drink cup again, buddy. You gotta go back in a corner and sober up. What about you, Kelly? What do you think? What is... Are you gonna say anything? Kelly Rowland, speak!
Oh, am I supposed to be Kelly?
I don't know. Are you Kelly?
No.
Demi Lovato, you got anything to say? Oh, I just loved it! Oh, it was great!
Yeah, that's exactly what she sounds
Well, she used to work for Disney, right?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, Lo Becker is an incredible musician. I've been fortunate to see him live. He's a very, very nice guy. Got a lot of really cool things to say. He's actually been in Junkyard interviews as well. You probably remember a few episodes ago. Awesome guy. I think this song is great. I love that he just literally got on the internet and he was like, hey, if you're a veteran or you have veterans in your family, send me pictures. I think that's really cool, right? It's not the flashiest music video out there, but it sends the message and it lets people know what he and his band are really trying to communicate, right? And they feel that gratitude and that debt to military service members. And I think that's just awesome. LOL, Simon is drunk off his butt. Yep, yes he is. It was really cool. Peanut? Is it a yes?
Yeah.
It's a yes for us. Demi Lovato? Yes?
The buzzer is bad.
The buzzer's bad?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I don't watch these shows. Anyway, yeah, no, it's yes, definitely Lo Becker advancing to the next round, which will start sometime in mid-October. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for The Junkyard's Got Talent. Deanna Hawkins is a retired U.S. Army soldier and Medal of Honor recipient enjoying the quiet life of an artist in Portland, Oregon. Without her knowledge, documents proving diabolical manipulation of the American people, perpetrated by the government, fall into her lap. Forced to run for her life, Deanna must work with unlikely companions to deliver the files to the people. Sinister forces strive to stop her, while an unknown guardian angles for her success. This success could result in the Second American Civil War, while failure could cement the power of tyrants for generations to come. Under the weight of that knowledge, Deanna Hawkins will discover what it means to walk the thin red line between duty and death. I gotta re-record that commercial. I've spliced into it and changed things on it so many times it looks like crap. Anyway, the end of the world is upon us. So normally during this section we talk about the effects that COVID is having on the world. Oh, I do apologize. It was Ryan Desmond that said the buzzer is bad. Yeah. So normally we talk about the effects that COVID is having on us in our world, but I don't want to talk about that today. I don't. Right? And for a couple of reasons. One, I'm done talking about COVID. And two, there are a number of countries out there that are either have just started or are about to start stage 3 trials for vaccines. So, I mean, most of those trials are 6 to 8 weeks, and then we got to figure, a few months for them to tabulate results and make sure everything's cool and get FDA approval and all that stuff, and then production of vaccines. So, honestly, like 6-8 months we'll be done with this, and it'll be old history anyway, right? So I'm kind of done talking about COVID. What I really want to talk about today is this idea that we have the rights or, the grace or whatever to deem that another person deserves to die. Okay, so obviously there's been a lot of things happening, right? Back in May, we had, the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. And then just last week, we had, Jacob Blake shot in the back 7 times by Kenosha police in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And then we had, what was his name? Kyle Rittenblob or something like that, Kyle Ritterhouse or whatever, who shot and killed 2 protesters and then wounded a third during riots that took place after the shooting of Jacob Blake. And so there's just been a lot of stuff going on, right? Now, you may notice that outside of things that I've said about, infringements on liberty following the death of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and stuff like that, I haven't really said a bunch about this. And the main reason being for that, ladies and gentlemen, is that I don't feel qualified to have a social discourse beyond talking to people that I know. However, it has also been said to me repeatedly that if you have a platform and you don't use it, you're part of the problem, and I think that's true. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. So following the death of Jacob Blake, or he didn't die, but following the shooting of Jacob Blake, there were a lot of things that came out on social media about his previous criminal convictions and what he was doing prior to the shooting and all that stuff, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about whether the shooting was justified or not, because frankly, I've seen the video from two different angles, and it's really hard for me to tell, and I don't feel qualified to make that decision. I'm not a judicial member, nor am I on a jury. But what I will say is the number of people on social media after that came out and said, Matt, he did this and this in his past, he deserved to die. He deserved it. He got everything he deserved and then some. Yeah. And then we had the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting during the riots, and of course social media went wild, and as soon as the identities of the victims, the men who died during that shooting came out, they're like, well, I mean, this one did this and this and this, so he deserved it, and this one did this and this and this, so he deserved it. And I'm sitting here watching all of these people on social media say that other human beings deserved to die, and it really, really bothered me. Now, many of you know that I'm a veteran, and while I don't talk about my military service a whole bunch, I have been some places in the world and I've seen some things, that changed my perspective. Growing up, I always thought, like, the guy with the gun was always the cool guy, right? Because, I mean, I grew up watching Dirty Harry and Bridge Over River Kwai and movies like that. And the good guys were always the guys with the guns, and the good guys with the guns were always saving the day and stuff like that. But in the movies that I grew up watching, death didn't look like it does in movies now, right? Now, our movies, our video games, our TV shows, all of it glorifies violence so much. And we've got this image in our head that death isn't as impactful as it used to be. Somehow, it doesn't matter as much anymore. And the value of human life isn't as much now as it used to be. You can't get on social media these days without people telling each other that they're going to kill them, or that they should die, or they should go kill themselves, and stuff like this. And now, because of these incidents, and it happened with George Floyd as well, we've got people on social media saying that these men deserved to die. And that is so problematic. First of all, who the hell do you think you are that you're qualified to say that another human being deserved to die? There are very few things that a person can do that should automatically make them deserving of being shuffled off of the mortal coil. And those decisions need to be made by people who are well practiced in examining evidence and law and procedure and all of those things. Average Joe Schmuckatelli sitting behind his keyboard on Facebook does not have the qualifications or the right to determine that another human being deserves to die. The fact that we have lost so much of our tether to humanity that we feel qualified to make those statements and to dismiss tragedy because they deserved it breaks my heart. It happened after the Beirut bombings in Lebanon too. The number of people I saw making jokes about it. The funny memes the day after the bombing. People spreading memes all over Facebook, and it's a big joke that hundreds of people just died. And it's a big joke. Because for some reason we have lost our tether to humanity. The thing that bothers me about that is when the Beirut bombing happened and it was a big joke on social media to a lot of those people who I know in the real world would have lost their mind if an accident, incident, attack, anything like that happened in the States, and then other people that they knew were posting funny memes about it. They would have lost their mind. Because for some reason, not only have we lost our tether to humanity, but we've also developed this mentality that it's us versus them in literally everything. And if I can find a way to quantify that person is not in my group based off of whatever, their national origin, their political leanings, their religion, their skin color, their whatever, if I can quantify that they're not in my group, I don't have to care that they died. And I don't have to feel any social responsibility or guilt for the fact that this took place. The loss of human life is always a tragedy. Always a tragedy. Now, I say that, and some of you are sitting there saying, well, you're in the military, and I know you've been places where bad things happened, and I know what job you did in the military because you've talked about it in the past, so it's pretty likely that you've had to do some stuff. Yeah, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. It doesn't really matter. The important part is that as a soldier, You face off with other soldiers or people who are trying to kill you. You do what needs to be done to survive that situation and to get your brothers and sisters through that situation. But that doesn't mean it's fun. That doesn't mean it's glorious. The part of war that is glorious is returning home. The part of war that is honorable is the strength necessary to get through those terrible circumstances and those things that you see that no one should have to see and make it back. Killing is not glorious. And every loss of human life is a tragedy. Now, in some cases, people commit heinous crimes and they're convicted by a court of law and sentenced to death. That death is still a tragedy. It's a tragedy that started years before the final sentence is passed. Some tragedies start in childhood, and it takes 30 years for them to end. In the case of Jacob Blake, many things have come out of the media about his previous crimes, and it's been called into question what he was there to do and what he was armed with and so on and so forth. But if he had died, that is still a tragedy. Because every loss of human life is a tragedy. I'm not going to get into a debate with you right now about race relations in law enforcement because that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other show. But what I will say is this. The moment we as American citizens and human beings stop accepting loss of life as just an everyday occurrence, the moment we as Americans and human beings stop looking at the loss of human life and saying, meh, they deserved it. They weren't one of mine, so I don't really care. The moment we shift that mindset, this problem goes away. I'm going to say this, and I've said it in books, I've said it in social media. Killing another human being strips away a piece of your soul that you will never get back. There is nothing glorious, honorable, funny, amusing, heroic about killing. No matter the circumstance. It is not something to be celebrated. It is not something to be taken lightly. People die every day. I could walk out my front door going to get dinner with my wife tonight and get smoked by a falling tree branch. It could happen. But that doesn't make the impact any less. And when we as human beings take another life for any reason, that is a tragedy. If you're one of those people that sat there and saw what happened with George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or Jacob Blake or Kyle Rittenhouse or anybody else and you were like, meh, they deserved it. My challenge to you is to step back and look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, where's my humanity? How would I feel if that was one of mine? Because newsflash for you, they're all yours. We're supposed to be united in this country. We're supposed to see that flag, the flag that I've got right there, right in front of me. We're supposed to see that flag waving and know that every single person underneath it is ours. That's what it's supposed to be. But when we choose to categorize and divide so that we don't have to feel the guilt or the social weight of those tragedies, we create the problem. I know I try to stay off of serious stuff on the show and I try to keep it light, but man, it really bothers me. And it's been building and building and building and building and building. And I had to say it. We've got to stop viewing human life as such a trivial thing. Because it's not. Every life on this planet, regardless of race, religion, orientation, creed, political ideology, any of it, every life on this planet is precious, and every loss is a tragedy. Every loss. Celebrate the life we have and mourn the lives we lose, even if they're not yours. Because if we don't, the end of the world really is here. Just saying. I hate talking about serious stuff on the show. I hate it. I hate talking about serious stuff on the show. I don't want to talk about serious stuff, man. I just want to have fun. That's like my whole deal, and I've said it for years. I just want to have fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it anymore. All right? And I say it to people all the time. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. I don't want to talk about serious stuff. Let's talk about fun stuff. Now's the part of the show where you get to ask me questions about anything you want, anything in the world that you want to talk about. Hit me with your best shot. There are currently a whopping 6 of you on the show. See, I start talking. There were like 15 people watching the show, and then I started talking about serious stuff, and they all started bailing out. Maybe I lost some fans today. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, you can talk about anything you want. Yeah. People tell others they deserve to die are compensating for bigger issues. I agree with you 100%, Ryan. Oh, I think Ryan said something. I think this is a joke. Let's hit Seymour. A guy walks into a bar and orders a Corona and 2 Hurricanes. Bartender says it'll be 2020. That's a good one. Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, man. That's fun. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? Another one bailed off. There's 5 people. I haven't had 5 people. I haven't had this few number of people on the show when we hit AMA in a long time. It's like everybody bailed out. Oh, man. We had this whole argument earlier about who the hosts for the X Factor were. Should we go back to the slide?
No.
Yeah, let's go back to the slide. Okay, here we go. So we had this whole debate earlier about who the girl that's right next to us on the bench is. I am adamant that is Demi Lovato. We even pulled up other pictures and also.
It looked like Demi Lovato.
It is absolutely Demi Lovato. 100%. You can tell it's the chin. It's the chin.
See the chin.
The chin. It's right there.
I don't think she's ever had bangs like that.
We pulled up pictures where she did.
She didn't. She just had blonde hair. She didn't have bangs.
And didn't somebody tell us last week that the girl in the yellow shirt was Brandy? Didn't somebody say that?
No, that was me, but I was wrong.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not Brandy. That's Kelly Rowland. I don't know who Kelly Rowland is, but I'm going to find out. I mean, apparently I yell at her now. That's a thing that I do. One of these days, like, the show is going to blow up, right? Crossing my fingers. The show's going to blow up, and, like, Demi Lovato or Simon Cowell or somebody's going to find out about this whole thing, and I'm going to be in so much trouble. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Ah! May have ended the show prematurely. Had a premature show ending. Oh, man. It is not Gabrielle Union. I think somebody said that. You might have said that. Somebody said that on the show last week, but it's not Gabrielle Union. Did you raise the price of your books to afford heat so Shums doesn't die of hypothermia? No, there's literally nothing I can do to prevent Shums dying of hypothermia.
I'm just a little person. It's the way I am.
Yeah, seriously, like the inside of my house could be 95 degrees and this chick's still gonna have a blanket on. Like, there's literally nothing I can do about that.
It's not a warm thing. It's a comfort thing. I just like the blanket.
Yeah. She loves the blanket.
And I complain when it's too hot for my blanket.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, so I see her in discomfort because she has to bundle up in the blanket, right? So I raise the thermostat because I'm trying my hardest to be a decent husband because I don't want to get divorced. And so I raise the thermostat, right? But then what I get is, it's too hot. I can't wear my blanket. Yeah, which works for me because I'm pretty hot-blooded. I want, like, cooler temperatures, so it works out really well. Kelly is one of the singers from Destiny's Child before Queen Bee went nuts. I know who Destiny's Child is. I don't... Queen Bee's Beyonce, right?
What?
She was in Destiny's Child, wasn't she? I don't know.
Oh.
Brandon Lynn is watching. What's up, Brandon?
She was in Dreamgirls.
She was in Dreamgirls.
I know
okay.
that.
All right, that's cool. That's cool.
That's not
Jeebus says, how are the puppies doing? Where are those two fuzzy idiots?
They're okay.
Moosey Lou, you're being summoned. They don't want to come. Sorry, dude. I don't want to tell you. But, so let's talk about Shums and blankets, all right? So early in our relationship, once we had moved in together, a family friend, a close member of the family, bought us a pack of 2 blankets, right? Two.
This is one of them.
That is one of them, okay? One was for her.
The other one was on last week's show.
Yeah, the other one was on last week's show. One was for her, one was for me. That lasted all of about 2 minutes because I got to use my blanket one time only. Then I walked in the living room, And she had both of them wrapped around her.
The 2-blanket system.
The 2-blanket system. So now I no longer have a blanket, right?
No, because you gotta do the blanket over the legs, right? So okay, so the blankets they're never big enough. They're never big enough. Throw blankets are a scam because they're never big enough. So you do the 2-blanket system. So you have the one over the legs and around the feeties. And then the other blanket goes around this way, around the shoulders, right? So you get the shoulder comfort while still use of the hands.
Mm-hmm.
But the feet are still covered.
So long story short, I lost my blanket. So a few weeks went by, and then we were at Walmart, and we bought a gigantic, like, fleece blanket for me. Me. Who stole it? #Shums.
Well, with the king size, you don't need 2 blankets.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, fine. I'll go back to my old blanket. No, I can't use my old blanket. That's her spare. Fortunately, my mother made me a blanket that Shums doesn't like because the dog hair gets stuck to it, and she doesn't like that. So she doesn't steal my blanket. Oh my goodness. Brandon says, I feel your pain. He also said earlier that he also has, what did he say? Let me find it. I have one of those cold-blooded 5'4" demon people as well. Yes, her name is Tiffers. And I'm familiar with the level of demonic presence that one can conjure. Shums is like one of the office workers that wear a sweater and use a portable heater. Yep. 100%. You're absolutely right. Yep. Now, all of this sounds like complaining, but truth is, I'm really happy. You know why? Because I use a blanket like once every never. So, I mean, it's really not that big a deal. It's like once a month that I'm like, what a blanket. So, my mother also made for me years ago a scarf, right? Except it's wide, and I don't really wear scarves that much. So we use it as a decoration. We put it over the back of the couch, and it looks really gorgeous. It's like the perfect size for that. Well, last night, I was sitting on the couch, and my wife was in the office working on stuff for a project that we will reveal later. And I was sitting on the couch playing a video game, and I was like, man, kind of cold. So I looked around, there's no blankets. There's no blankets. Why? Because Shums had them all in the office. So I pulled that scarf, right? It's a wide scarf, but I pulled it off the back of the couch and I put it over my legs, and it's like the perfect size to just barely go over my legs. Yeah. But then she came out and she was like, "Do you want a blanket?" Like, yeah. So I finally got to have a blanket in the house.
Well, he got one of the dog blankets. He couldn't have mine.
Yeah, she gave me one of the dog blankets.
It's Moosey's
Speaking
fault.
of the dogs,
His
they have arrived.
It's because Moosey made the other one smell, so they were all in the washer.
The puppies have arrived there, Jeebus. Come on. Come up. You gotta come up.
Lulu, come up.
You have to come up and say hello. Come on.
Moosey, come here.
There's Lulu. Say hello. Hi, baby girl. I know. Yeah. Lulu has had a big day. She got to run and play. And then I fell asleep on the couch this morning, and she cuddled with me for like 45 minutes, and then a squirrel or a skink or something ran across the porch, and she burned out on my chest. So I now have like dog claws all over my chest, and I'm not super happy about that, but that's okay. Chris says, #Jack's blanket. #dog blanket.
You see the #Shums the blanket thief.
Yep. Jack's blanket matters. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
No, it's mine now. It's not. He doesn't have any blankets anymore.
Yeah, I don't own blankets anymore. I really don't. She does the same thing in bed too. We'll start out and we have like the an equal distribution of blankets. By the time I wake up in the morning, I'm lucky if I have the sheet. And then my Eskimo wife is like rolled up in all of them.
It's a Shums burrito.
Finally, Facebook released the damn block. Yeah, so interestingly enough, Chris, you bring up a good point. Over the last few weeks, we've had a number of people who participate in the show and comment a lot get blocked from commenting halfway through the show, and Facebook's like, it looks like you're spamming us, stuff like that. I know some of those people have sent, issues to Facebook administration about it, and I did as well. And I basically said, look, I mean, you're killing the participation in my show by not allowing comments, so you got to fix this. So I don't know who accomplished it or how it got fixed, but I am thankful for that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll keep it rolling for another few minutes here. There are 9 of you on the show, which is awesome. So hit me with your best shot. What questions do you have? What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about a thin red line? You want to talk about the Fists of Arkan? You want to talk about the weather? You want to talk about birds? I don't care. What do you want to talk about?
Because Shum started talking about her blanket system.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I gotta know that.
Yeah, for sure. As soon as you start talking, everybody's like, oh, we want to be a part of this.
No, they're like, wow, 2 blanket system? That sounds interesting. I gotta know what's up with that.
Right? On a side note, if you smoke cigarettes, you have to quit. You have to quit. And here's why. My teeth are so much whiter since I quit smoking cigarettes. It's amazing. My taste buds work better. Like, I feel awesome. It's great. Look at them pretty white chompers. I'm a piranha.
I'm a piranha.
What's for dinner? Interestingly enough, so we are having a southern fish boil for dinner. So we're gonna have crab legs and mussels and lobster tails and all that stuff. Yep. Yeah, so there's a place in our town that does southern fish boils, so we're gonna go experience that because I've had southern fish boil many, many times. I love crawfish and crab legs and all that stuff. She's never really had most of that stuff, so. Nope. I don't have a question, but I started a thin red line this week. Good stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still really proud of that book. I think it turned out really nice. Now I have a question. What time is dinner? Well, as soon as we get off the show, we'll put pants on. There's more information than you need to know about my current attire. And then go get it. So, yeah.
It's not like, it's just, outside pants.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing something on my lower half. I'm not sitting here like, I'm in one of the fake leather chairs. If I wasn't wearing something on my lower half, I'd be stuck to the chair. Here's a question Ryan Desmond has. The civilization on the other side of the escape tunnel, why were they behind the tech curve compared to the Fists? Well, I think, necessity breeds innovation, right? So when we think about how technology advances, there's always got to be a need for technology to advance. And in terms of were they behind, I wouldn't say that they were actually behind in terms of technology. So they still had swords and bows and all the primary weapons. They didn't have artillery and, catapults and stuff like that. But I don't really think they needed it in terms of, how their society functioned. And so we think about the Inohaman nation split into a number of different tribes, but all under kind of that Inohaman banner that doesn't make war with themselves. And for a long time in history, no one else would make war with the Inohaman either because there were so many of them, even if they were not all the same thing. They're all separate, tribes under a singular banner. So I don't really think there was a necessity to develop, some of the heavier weaponry and stuff like that. And then, their buildings aren't any less, technologically advanced, say, than those in Arkan. They're just built, they're constructed differently. They use supplies from the earth and things like that. When I wrote the Inohaman culture, I very heavily leaned on Native American and First Nations cultures, just because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And, I think there's a lot of beauty in those cultures. And I wanted to celebrate some of those aspects without directly saying, this is them. Because to do that, you have to be 100% accurate. And this was a fictitious work, and I didn't want to do that. So very heavily inspired by Native American cultures. Did they have a specific tech that the Fists did not have? Poison arrows, etc. I mean, likely. I didn't really get that far into it. You'll notice when you read that book specifically that I don't really do a whole lot of describing massive battles or engagements. And when I do, it's from the perspective of a small group of people involved in it. So it really only talked about the weaponry or the technology that those people had. So, unless there was a reason to bring it in, I didn't. Now, what you'll see in the Tears of Arkan is instead of it being told from the perspectives of literally 2 groups of people and that's it, like the Fists of Arkan was, what you'll see is a much wider variety of perspectives and storylines happening at the same time. So you'll get an opportunity to see a lot more of that technology in terms of weaponry and how society functions and things like that. and then again with, you could, in theory, say that they weren't as technologically advanced as Arkan because their constructions were primarily wood and things of that nature, and then brick made out of baked mud. But, it's just a difference in culture. And the Inohaman and everything on that side of the mountains has been very insulated from the rest of the world. So when you look at the map of the known world, you'll see that there is a humongous mountain range that separates the Inohaman and the lake tribes, and there are a few other things, countries or nations, groups of people north and south that we didn't really talk about at any point in the books. But they're pretty well insulated by those humongous mountain ranges, where on the other side of the mountain ranges, the world has been through many wars and conquests and all kinds of things over the centuries. So there's been a lot of need to advance. And without necessity, they don't have a need to advance, so they don't, What's your favorite part of Scotland? The fact that it's Scotland. Look, here's the thing. I have a very romantic view of Scotland. And what I mean by that is I recognize logically that there are parts of Scotland that are not fantastic. Highland midges are a demon terror from hell. If you don't know what a Highland midge is, you should look it up. Or ask a Scotsman, because they will tell you Highland midges are demon terrors from hell. There are parts of Scotland that aren't fantastic. But when I think about Scotland, one, my heart feels at home there. And I've never experienced that anywhere else in the world. And I love everything about it. I love the way people speak. I love how people treat each other, which is not always kind, but is always very uniquely Scot. I love the food, except haggis, which is the demon spawn created by the Highland midges, no doubt. Haggis is gross. But I love everything about it. And if I had to say my favorite place in Scotland is pretty far north in the Highlands. That whole terrain is just absolutely gorgeous, and I love it in every way, shape, or form. So, yep. If given enough money and the means to do so, I would absolutely go build a home in Scotland. Yep. And it's not for a lack of love for America or anything like that, but I mean, you got to understand, my family hasn't been in the States that long. And we still have a lot of ties to Scotland, so it is what it is, right? I also have a ton of ties to, other things, but what else? Yeah. That was a good question, Tiff. Thank you for that. And thank you, Ryan. That was also a great question. A couple of great questions. So I can't tell you if I'll ever expand, if I'll ever go back to the Inohaman cultures outside of the Inohaman that essentially immigrated across the mountains to Arkan. I don't know if I'll ever write about them again. I would have to have a reason to do so. There would have to be, something that draws our central characters back into that part of the world. And I don't have any ideas for that. So I don't know if I'll ever explore that culture again. But I will tell you that, it's not an unsophisticated culture in terms of, how they operate and how they, do things, how they live their lives. Not unsophisticated or, savage or anything like that. It's just different, it's different. So let's do one more question. There are still 9 of you on the show. Let's do one more question and then we will call it a day. I don't know why I do things like that. I do it on Zoom meetings too. I'm on so many Zoom meetings these days. Oh my God. And like we always hit that point in the Zoom meeting where nobody's talking and nobody really knows what's going to happen next. And I just kind of sit there staring at the camera going. And then I start making faces and yeah.
See, I'm more like I make faces all the time. And then now I'm on Zoom and now I can see what the faces look like. And I'm like, oh my God. Do I really look like that?
See, I've always known I'm ugly, so like seeing myself on camera doesn't really change anything about my self-esteem.
Oh, no, mine's it's at an all-time low.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
We're getting some laughter from Tiffers there. I think she thinks your all-time low is funny. Or maybe she thinks it's funny that the dog is like trying to eat you.
I love him. He can nibble me.
Any hint if the lake people are going to join a fist? No, I mean, and so again, like there's a huge mountain range between, the Inohaman lands and the lake lands and stuff. So, there's a huge mountain range between those two cultures, and the Lakemen don't really know that Arkan exists. You know, so the Inohaman that immigrated to Arkan, you know, basically if you recall at the end of the book, Leandria, amongst many other things, gives a portion of land near the Citadel grounds, near, you know, the Arkan Head, for the Inohaman immigrants to live as they choose, you know, to set up their own style of dwellings and their own systems and stuff, and all of that. So, yeah, and Ryan just messaged and said he's blocked again. Man, I guess Zuck didn't fix it. Sorry, dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so anyway, so like, you know, so Queen Leandria gives a chunk of land for them to live their own way. And cultures assimilate, right? Cultures assimilate. So over time, as the Inohaman immigrants and the offspring of those immigrants, you know, go around and conduct business and be part of the goings on in the Shadow Fist, it's not unlikely that over, you know, many generations, this separation between those two cultures would go away. You know, I don't know. As far as the lake people go, I'm going to be honest with you. The lake people are not interesting to me at all. Like, they're not interesting to me at all. They're literally a dictatorship where a small group of people claim themselves as gods and use that authority to lord over everyone else and make everyone else do their bidding. And that's just not interesting to me to write about. It was an interesting, you know, premise to set them up as you know, the enemy of the Inohaman cultures, but you know, the overwhelmingly evil doesn't really interest me. You've been blocked 3 times in this stream. It's so ridiculous to me that this is happening. I do not like it. I do not like it. Just to be clear, I have nothing to do with you guys getting blocked. I have nothing to do with that.
No, that's not true. We just hate all of you, actually.
No, we don't. We want their money. Chris says, will Izzy ever officially host the show again? Probably.
No.
Probably.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's going to happen.
No.
Yeah. We'll probably do another fundraising drive or something like that. And if we raise enough money, then, you know, Shums will host the show.
I hated it.
I know you hated it, but it was a great show. It was a great show.
No.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just came back. Give me a little space to breathe.
It's true. She just came back as the Peanut. Well, Peanut, what do you think? It's time to call this thing quit?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show today, for checking out Junkyard interviews with Thomas from Glass Helix, for watching Lo Becker and the Becker Band's performance on the Junkyard's Got Talent, for checking out all the news stories and all the other fun stuff we talked about today. From the bottom of my heart, all of you that show up and support and comment and share the posts and, you know, and talk about it and buy the books and all that stuff, I truly do appreciate everything that you guys do to help me chase my dream. And that's really what this all is chasing the dream, right? So if you have somebody in mind or yourself and you think that you should be featured in Junkyard interviews, contact me. If you have a talent that you want to put on stage, or anyone that you know has a talent that should be on stage and the Junkyard's Got Talent, reach out, right? Let's get this thing going. Let's get more people involved in the conversation and just have more fun with it, right? It's all about celebrating talent and celebrating each other's art and just goofing off and having a good time. I promise I'll try not to get serious on the next show. Yeah. Anyway, love you guys. If you haven't already, get on Amazon, buy my books. If you want to buy an autographed copy of any of my books, contact me directly. We out.